There we go. Hello, hello. Good morning. I've come here to talk to give an update on Savannah Guthrie. Savannah Guthrie did put out something last night. Shout out to Long Crime for this.
Need a new mattress but confused by all the choices? At Mattress Firm, we make it easy. Our sleep experts have the unrivaled know-how to match you with a perfect mattress. And right now, you can get a king bed for a queen price. Mattress Firm, we make sleep easy. Want to know exactly what's in your P.O. box without calling or getting in the car? Wouldn't it be great if you could view and manage your mail and packages when away on business, on vacation, or abroad? Worry about theft of your mail and packages? Are there times when you would love to have a... We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
Again, this is
We're following
Law and
breaking news.
Crime.
Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie, with her siblings by her side, making an urgent plea for their mom to be brought home. 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was allegedly taken from her home in the middle of the night between Saturday and Sunday, and no one has seen her since. Deputies say they have no suspects at this point, but tonight we are seeing a lot of activity at Nancy Guthrie's home. Investigators are back, and we will dive into what they may be looking for. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Well, we wanted to come on tonight because there is a lot going on Wednesday night in the search for Nancy Guthrie in Tucson, Arizona. And for the first time since their mom was allegedly taken from her home, we are seeing the Guthrie children together speaking on video, seeing Savannah Guthrie, who understandably has not been on the Today Show since this story broke, sitting with her brother and sister side by side, pleading for her mom to be brought home. The video that was posted to Savannah's Instagram, it's about 4 minutes long. We see Savannah Guthrie clearly emotional with Annie, her older sister, on one side and her brother Cameron on the other. Here is that video. On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She's funny and spunky and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see. The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children. She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day, despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief. We are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom. Mama. Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you. Our mom is our heart and our home. She is 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain.
She is without any medicine. She needs it to survive, but she needs it not to suffer. We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please, reach out to us. Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman. You are God's precious daughter, Nancy. We believe and know that even in this valley, He is with you. Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again. We speak to you every moment, and we pray without ceasing, and we rejoice in advance for the day that we hold you in our arms again. We love you, Mom.
We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
We love you. We love
Now, there's a couple things to take away from that video, beyond just, of course, the emotion you can see on the faces of Nancy Guthrie's children. In that video, you heard the Guthries reference the alleged ransom notes that had been sent to media outlets like TMZ and some local media outlets in the Tucson area that came over the last day or so. It's unclear if the Guthrie family received a note specifically, but you do hear them reference what they say are voices and images that can be manipulated when you think of things like artificial intelligence. Now, deputies have not confirmed or denied whether these ransom notes that have been circulating are actually legit. TMZ was the first one to report about receiving a ransom note, or an alleged ransom note, let's just say, on Tuesday. And then the ransom notes started coming into local TV stations in Tucson, Arizona, saying they came in through their email. So TMZ, and the one that they received, they say came in on Tuesday morning. It reportedly demanded a specific and substantial amount of money in Bitcoin. They say millions of dollars to be sent to a specific Bitcoin address. TMZ says they verified the Bitcoin address to be real, and they also say that the note gives a deadline for the Bitcoin to be sent. And it also says what TMZ calls there was an element of, quote, or else. Now, the sheriff's office posted this on social media on Wednesday in response to reports about these alleged ransom notes being put out there, saying, quote, we are aware of reports circulating about possible ransom notes regarding the investigation into Nancy Guthrie. We are taking all tips and leads very seriously. Anything that comes in goes directly to our detectives who are coordinating with the FBI, end quote. And again, we don't know if the Guthrie family received some kind of ransom note that prompted the video that was put out on Savannah's Instagram tonight. Now, also on Wednesday night, there has been a lot of activity back at Nancy Guthrie's home, which is north of Tucson, Arizona. This is video that was shot by Brian Ensign of News Nation, showing deputies putting crime scene tape back up at her home. And it also shows law enforcement searching the property. Reporters can see deputies are back inside the house. They're also in the garage looking for evidence. It is unclear what, if anything, changed that prompted law enforcement to return to Nancy Guthrie's home. Now, according to local and national news stations on scene, reporters spotted about a dozen local deputies and potentially the FBI there this evening. The Pima County Sheriff also posted this on social media as they returned to search Nancy's home and property, saying that the media staging area has been moved further away from the house, and the sheriff's office the search is a quote follow-up, but they have not said anything more than that. We are expecting to publicly
Oh
Get
crap!
statements from the sheriff, Chris Nanos, on Thursday. In a press conference on Tuesday, federal agents said that they were
Nah, I
analyzing
ain't gonna
cell
do that
phones,
right
but
now.
it is unclear whose phone, beside Nancy's, that they have. We do know they have
Damn, my
Nancy's
head hurts like
iPhone.
a
Fox News
son
Digital
bitch.
put out a report saying her Apple Watch was still on the charger next to her bed. And from dispatcher audio, we know that she had a pacemaker. All of those things could be incredibly critical evidence when you think of piecing together where Nancy Guthrie may be. The Pima County Sheriff is slated to give an update to the media for the first time since Tuesday. On Thursday, that's going to be held at 11 a.m. local time in Arizona. That's 1 o'clock Eastern. Then you also have on Wednesday the Sheriff's Department pushing back on any report or speculation that they have a suspect in this case. The department released a statement saying, quote, at this point, investigators have not identified a suspect or person of interest in this case. Detectives continue to speak with anyone who may have had contact with Mrs. Guthrie. Detectives are working closely with the Guthrie family. While we appreciate the public's concern, the sharing of unverified accusations or false information is irresponsible and does not assist the investigation. No suspect
Y'all
or
heard that
person of
right.
interest has been identified at this time.
Y'all
Of
heard
course,
that right.
anyone with information, if you're watching this and you have information on where Nancy Guthrie may be, you need to contact the Pima County Sheriff's Department. The number is 520-351-4900. Nancy Guthrie, she is 84 years old, and according to law enforcement, she needs medication. The sheriff said it could be fatal if she does not get this medication within 24 hours, and we are certainly far past that deadline. Now, the sheriff says that Nancy is also, she's incredibly smart. She is very sharp mentally, but the challenge is physically, she has limitations. The sheriff said she would struggle walking 50 yards by herself. We are going to continue to follow every step of this case, and that will do it.
Okay, and that's it for Law and Crime. Let's go to Fox News.
Hey, Mom!
We begin with Alicia Acuna, live outside the home where Nancy was taken. Hi, Alicia.
Hi, Brian. As we head into day 5 since Nancy Guthrie was last seen, law enforcement continues to say there is still no credible information to indicate that this was a targeted incident, and they have not yet given details on what led investigators to return to Nancy Guthrie's home late in the day on Wednesday. Federal and local authorities came back to the scene, which they had previously cleared, to cordon it off with police tape while they searched the property once again. Agents could be seen tracing the back of the home and also the garage. Before their arrival, the Pima County Sheriff's Department released a statement saying detectives did have follow-up work to do. Law enforcement was also seen at Savannah Guthrie's sister Annie's house. The family is believed to be gathered there. It's possible agents assisted the Guthrie children in making that video that they released last night. NBC News reports sources tell them Guthrie's pacemaker appeared to be disconnected from its monitoring app early in the morning on Sunday. The Sheriff's Department, in a statement on Tuesday, saying we have not released specific timeframes related to this device. As previously stated, investigators are working to review any available data that may assist in this investigation. The Sheriff's Department is also attempting to knock down rumors and reports they have identified a potential suspect. The department says that's not true, adding unverified accusations or false information is irresponsible and does not assist the investigation, reiterating they do not have a suspect or person of interest. And last night, hundreds of people gathered for a candlelight vigil at a local church to offer prayers and support for Nancy's family and her safe return. The FBI Director Kash Patel is expected to arrive in Tucson, Arizona sometime to assist in this, rather lead this investigation. We're also expecting a news conference later this afternoon for an update on the investigation. Back to all of you.
Okay, thank you, Alicia. Let's bring in Paul Morrow, Fox News contributor, retired NYPD inspector. Paul, we were just talking, saying, any chance she had a car there? Is her car missing? Do we know maybe how she ended up leaving the house?
Well, we don't know that now, and that information has not been released to my knowledge, whether or not she had a car. But that said, we know that she wasn't very ambulatory and that she couldn't walk very far. So even were she to have had a car, you have to assume she would need help to do shopping, to get herself in and out, let's say, a doctor's office, things like that. So it does argue that there was probably a good amount of help that she was getting in and out of her house, and that certainly is going to be a pinch point that the detectives are going to be focusing on as they try to
Right.
figure out who was familiar enough with the house to do what they did, stay out of sight of the cameras, remove the cameras, and potentially, as you say,
Yeah, and that's
maybe
somebody who
even
knows
leaving,
the
let's say,
property.
footprints or tire tracks, because almost certainly a car was involved here. And if you can get fresh tracks off of tires, which, you know, this is not New York City where it's all asphalt. You have sort of desert dust here, so to speak, and you could probably get very good tracks. So
Yeah.
in that case, you could try to narrow down at least the size of the car. Was it a truck? Because the vehicle, I think, here is going to be a potentially important thing if they can narrow it down.
Paul, what about the breaking news, though, about them removing the monitoring device, the pacemaker, from the app? So you got a better timeline now that investigators can work with, because the person that removed the device is probably the person that's responsible for this. But it also tells us that they didn't want her trapped, which means that she may be alive.
Right. I mean, I would agree with that. And that certainly seems to be first blush. We don't know how much the person knew about her medical condition, etc. But if the reporting is accurate, what it does do is it gives you a really pretty close estimation of when she was removed from the home, leaving the phone there. My understanding is the way it works is the following. The pacemaker emits a low energy signal that connects to either your watch or the phone. And once you are out of range of that, it's not connecting anymore. The pacemaker itself doesn't have the energy to connect, let's say, to a cell tower. So once you're out of range of the phone or the watch, which are interconnected in the Apple system, then you're not going to get that signal anymore. Now, let's be clear, it doesn't mean the pacemaker stops working.
Right.
It continues to work. It just doesn't signal to the phone. And so as a result, you can't track it.
So, Paul, if I put you in that press conference today, knowing what you know and with the experience that you have, what question could you ask that would get an answer?
Well, the first thing I would ask is, what's the status on the cameras? Because they've already said that it didn't feed, the cameras that she had did not feed up to a cloud. Fair enough, but where did they feed to? Are the cameras themselves missing? I'd also like to know, what is the indications of when the cameras were taken? Can they track when the cameras were removed? Does it look like there's weathering after the cameras were removed, which would argue that maybe the cameras were removed a week ago? So who was there a week ago? I'd also like to know a lot about the digital forensic footprint. Let's assume that the perp did not, or a series of perps, because it could be more than one. History shows usually it's more than one, because you need other people, not for the extraction here, not for the horrible abduction, but to handle the logistics of secreting her someplace. Again.
Okay, I thought they was going to do the press conference at 12. Turns out they're not going to do the press conference until 1. Okay.
Historic examples show you need more than one person. Somebody has to watch her, somebody goes gets food, and you have to communicate. At some point, they're going to want to communicate. Well, you're not going to pick up your phone and communicate right from where you are. I'm sure they have all kinds of things they're trying to work through. Why TMZ? That doesn't really pan for me. Why not the network she works for? It suggests a certain level of amateurism. And as I said, the digital forensics. Let's assume they didn't have a phone and it didn't hit the
I'll be
cell
right
tower
back in a
that
second, y'all.
location. What about previously? Did she have social media? Could it be that they're aware of some of the details of her life from just watching her online? Or did Savannah Guthrie put out stuff online innocently as part of her celebrity, essentially, that they were able to glean details from? So I would be digging very hard at all of those digital footprints going backwards to see if there's a repeat person in any of this thing as a commonality, considering the idea that there may have been some surveillance, recon, planning, that kind of thing.
Paul, thank you so much. A lot happening behind the scenes. I'm sure they're interviewing everybody who works for the family who comes in and out of
Yeah,
prison
the
and out of
Nexus,
home.
when you hear about the app being removed, the device removed, the nexus of people shrinks because they had to know about it. and know how to get in it. So you're dealing with this is great for investigators in checking people out.
Yeah, John Roberts just wrote me that Paul Morrow kind of answered in real time. When you move away from your phone, it doesn't mean you shut off the pacemaker, and it doesn't mean you shut off the connection. It just so happens if you separate the two, they'll disconnect.
Right.
So it might have been unintentional, the disconnection. Doesn't mean they actually knew she had a pacemaker.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. So she just was so far away from her phone
Yeah, it would automatically.
that it automatically disconnected. So the person might not know.
Yeah.
Grab your W-2 and file your taxes 100% free. Plus, get your biggest refund. Roughly 37% of filers qualify. Simple Form 1040 returns only. File now.
Up to 50,000 cars out of date on Cars.com. Where to next?
We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
So Savannah Guthrie and her siblings addressing their mother's kidnapper directly, pleading for proof of life amid reports of a possible ransom note. Let's bring in Abel Pena, a director of Project Absentee, and a retired FBI special agent with extensive experience in kidnapping. Special agent, thanks so much for joining the program. Abel, take me to the breaking news of the pacemaker and the loss of connection. What can we learn, law enforcement learn from that?
Well, simply that the pacemaker, it's not a beacon or a tracking device. Okay, that's the short answer. It doesn't help law enforcement. Now, the good news is it's like a Bluetooth device. It doesn't emit a signal.
Okay, I'm back.
It's for the like the Apple Watch that she has, but the pacemaker continues to work. It continues to run, so there's no issues there. But unfortunately, it doesn't cause any. The signal that's out there doesn't.
Show you this one, Mike.
There's an issue of triangulation. They can't triangulate. They can't. There's no continuous signal that police can broadcast or anything like that. So it's good that she's got the pacemaker. It's operational. But unfortunately for law enforcement, it doesn't serve as any kind of tracking device at all.
Do you think this helps in any way of lowering or limiting the pool of people that you're now investigating?
I think that's a good question. I think what law enforcement is probably doing is they're going back. I know they went back and they went back to the house to perhaps there was new evidence that they uncovered. They went back there. They looked at some of they may have re-canvassed, re-interviewed. Maybe there were some inconsistent statements that were out there that they had to clear up. It's routine especially when new evidence surfaces, and sometimes the case takes a different direction, and so they have to go back and re-interview and just kind of nail down those statements, so that way the timeline, they can fit the timeline in and really just determine exactly when Ms. Guthrie disappeared.
Abel, can you speak to this statement that was crafted by the family yesterday, and then finally speaking directly to what they believe, and I think the Bureau suspects maybe a hostage situation, and the words they use there?
Well, I think it's very important because the FBI, we have the Behavioral Analysis Unit, we have the Crisis Negotiation Unit, and those units are very important because what they do is they help the families craft the statement that they put out, and they have to be very carefully worded, not to incite any problems with the abductor. And what they're trying to do is carefully craft it where there's perhaps less emotion and more direction. Now, again, the abductor kind of he's conveyed the note. From what I understand, it was a message sent to TMZ and to a local station out there. But I think it's very important that the family stay connected. What's also important is that the law enforcement is going to direct them not to take matters in their own hands, not to meet with anybody, because there are a lot of scams going on. It could be a hoax. So that's very important that the families stay connected with the law enforcement, that they continue to engage them and be directed by what law enforcement tells them to do. And again, they cannot take any unilateral action to meet with anybody, out. Again, it's just the cooperation between law enforcement and the family at this point.
As you know all too well, Abel, in these situations, when time is happening, is when family rightfully start to get frustrated when they don't have all the answers. That's why it's so critical to stay in contact. And I know Savannah has been working with law enforcement for years and knows this process all too well. But it's different when you're a victim. Abel Pena, thanks so much for joining the program this morning.
I'm Steve Dusky. There was a time when
family talks about Nancy and humanizes her with the abductors, because she's been just an object to the abductors, an object of their goal, which either is
This here is the
messaging,
Pascal
we don't quite
show.
know yet. So that's very important. I think it was excellent they did that. They need to humanize Nancy. And they also say, we're ready to listen. Here in the family, we want to listen. We want to hear what you want. Do you want money? Do you want a message? What is it you want?
I don't
Tell
have
us.
any
We want
plans
to
to
listen.
watch.
There's manipulated voices, so we don't know if it's really the abductors. We don't know if it's really you. So reach out to us and let us know. And then, of course, they strengthen mom. They kind of close with strengthening mom. We're all looking. We're all here. We're not going to give up. So there's a lot of messaging there from the family. It's very, very good. The abductors, Craig, just to close, they went to a lot of effort to break in, to assault Nancy, to take her away, to hide her out. They went to a whole lot of effort. And now they have to close their circle for their goal, and that is they have to communicate. So the best thing they can do, their best options, the abductors, is to release Nancy, leave her at the foot of the church somewhere,
just let her go.
or take the step to communicate to see if you can reach your goal.
Jim, really quickly, does the family putting out that video, does that then confirm the authenticity of the ransom note or ransom notes?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
In fact, I think it what the family's saying is it's still a question. There's a lot of manipulated voices. This could be someone in Kathmandu saying send Bitcoin. We don't know who that is.
Okay.
In other words, the kidnappers took a lot of risk to do this. They're going to have to take an additional step to communicate if they want to reach their goal. I would expect that if they've seen this, I'm sure it's been everywhere, and they may drop a letter, a snail mail package with something. And once they can make the connection and there's some proof that they are the abductors, a piece of jewelry from Nancy, some hair, a picture, a video, then the communication can happen where they try to reach their goals, whatever that is. We don't even know, but that's what's going to happen. That's what should happen, or we want to happen, either communication or release her.
Yeah.
If your crime has not worked, release her. I think, just to close, I think they got too big too fast. They took Nancy, whether they knew it was Savannah's mom or not, and they just thought it was a wealthy person, or they knew it was Savannah's mom. This thing got real big real fast.
Hold on. Let me just say this. First off, of course, they're gonna have to do a lot to show proof positive that this
Very much.
that they have her. That's number one for sure. I'm hoping that they do some sort of I'm hoping that they just send a video of the mom saying that she's alive and okay. I just don't think sending a package of just sending her over her hair or sending a piece of jewelry is going to be enough. You see what I'm saying? There needs to be more of her talking, blinking, waving, saying that she's okay and that she's alive and breathing. I just don't think just hair is going to handle or, remedy the concerns. Here's the other thing too, sending her hair. Here's the other thing too. They want the money ASAP. They don't want the money next month. They want the money as soon as Monday. If the information is true, they want the money as soon as Monday. So yeah, they could send like a couple strands of hair or something like that. But is that really going to suffice? That is too slow. The easiest way for these monsters would be throw up the phone, make a video, having her hold something, you know what I mean? Holding a freaking newspaper or something, I don't know. Showing proof positive that she's alive and well, and keep it moving. But if they were to send other pieces of stuff, that's not going to be enough. At least not in my personal opinion. That's not enough. You know what I'm saying? So let's continue.
And so their concern now is the communication. We're concerned about, we're apprehensive about doing it. And that's their decision right now. They got to either do it or release Nancy. That's their two best options.
All right, Tom, let me bring you in here. Authorities are holding this press conference a little later this afternoon. What are we expecting to hear? And also, what are investigators focusing on right now?
Yeah, I would like to get two key things here today. The first is any new fact from the investigation that doesn't compromise it. Whether it's a detail of what happened that night or, hey, we've had people calling in about this. We would like to know more about that, whatever that is that they're looking for. Perhaps an image, even if it's the most grainy image of a car that was leaving there. You look at a map, we have a map of generally of Nancy Mom's house in that neighborhood. There are intersections all over this area. We've got a highway there in green. We've got even a large map to show you the interstates in the area of the Tucson. You're looking there at a key interstate that goes through there. All those major intersections, there are automated license plate readers. People hear license plate readers say, well, they're looking for a license plate. They need a specific detail. No. If somebody could call in and say, I saw that green Honda, that black Chevy Tahoe, whatever it is, they can feed that into the system. That might be very helpful as far as finding this person. The other thing that I think would be good to pick up on what Jim was saying is if there was an easy way, Savannah is talking to you now, whoever did this, she's talking with you. It would be great if they could make it easy to find a way to get that person to talk to Savannah as well. You've got an opportunity for those two to talk, for there to be a proof of life, to get to a point here where there is a dialogue. If there's a dialogue, there's hope for Nancy.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jim. And of course, we'll bring you the very latest updates. NBC News will have live coverage of today's news conference from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And again, we're asking anyone with any information, please call that phone number on your screen, 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Yeah, guys.
It's a fairly price, I would believe.
It's going to be a very... I hope it's not a bumpy ride. You see what I'm saying? I'm hoping that...
At the end of the day... Oh God, I can't finish. At the end of the day, you're going to end up using it. And even then, look, what I like about being a realtor, you have to get your license all that. Okay, there's cons and pros. Let me tell you that.
Yes, but this morning, our dear friend has a very different message.
Savannah, alongside her siblings, Annie and Cameron, releasing a video statement on Instagram.
Sorry about that,
sending
y'all.
direct messages to their mom and whoever may have abducted her.
We want to play that video for you right now in its entirety.
Now, we already saw it, so there's... I was hoping that it would be more, but let's see this last bit.
Sending our love to the entire family this morning.
Hey,
yeah, so this is just the whole... That's just the video itself, like we've already seen, but... Man, is this some really... really scary stuff. This is some really scary stuff. But... And, and of course the news cycle is going ham on this and basically saying, yeah, everyone's reacting to this video from Savannah. You know, it doesn't feel real. You know, I think we can all agree on that. Now, some people are reacting and saying that because of a piece that she did on her show about growing up in that house, this is one of the reasons why that maybe this caused some interest to her house. Take a look at this. This is an article we got to take a look at. But it's saying video that's haunting Savannah Guthrie. Now, we don't know. This is just assumption, okay? But today's show footage of missing mother Nancy sends NBC into meltdown. So just under 3 months ago, this is interesting. I didn't know it was that soon. So just under 3 months ago, Savannah Guthrie returned to her hometown of Tucson for a nostalgic tour visiting the place that shaped her upbringing. That is insane. So just under 3 months ago, she did a special segment on the NBC show, the Today Show, in November, framed Tucson as the city where her quote-unquote soul is home, with a focus on family and community. So her mother, Nancy Guthrie, which we already know, made a rare on-air appearance, toasting to the gentle desert town she had lived in since the 1970s. Now, however, there is a growing concern behind the scenes at NBC that the feature may have inadvertently placed Nancy in danger. See, now I heard about the special, or like the special, the segment that she did with her mom, and apparently they went inside their home, the mom's home, and inside her childhood home, from my understanding, and they were, hanging out and doing things. So maybe somebody saw something that sparked interest in going into that home and taking her mom. Maybe. So the growing concerns placed her in danger. It is believed that she was abducted, which we already know. We already know about her not failing to show up in church, but we're hearing that she did it virtually. At least that's what a source is saying. So her disappearance has cast the November Homecoming special in a stark new light. There's a lot of soul searching at NBC about whether their segment made Nancy a target. A Today Show source told the Daily Mail. So again, this is all, she's like, I guess they're at a restaurant. Yeah, they're at a restaurant. She's doing this whole thing, coming back home, hanging out with her mama, right? Maybe somebody saw this and was like, yo, she living good. We need to go get her. Maybe.
Hey,
I don't know.
Maybe that's what happened. We don't know.
In about 35 minutes, about 36 minutes to be exact, we will be seeing a press conference here. So stick around, guys. At the time, Savannah, 54, described the 6-minute feature as a love letter to Tucson, the desert city she moved to at the age of 2 from Australia, and where her family put down roots. The segment did not feature Nancy's home or disclose details about where she lived. Okay, so it never showed the inside of her home. Interesting. But after the week's segments, or after the week's events, people around here at NBC are going to think twice about before putting their family on television at all. It comes after Savannah. We already know about this. Released basically an emotional, please bring her back. We need proof of life, and we're ready to work. We're ready to talk and ready to listen and negotiate. The Homecoming episode aired on November 5th, so not so long ago, on the Today Show morning broadcast, and promoted and was promoted as part of a broader initiative highlighting anchors' backstories. Oh my damn. One of the most emotional moments showed Savannah sharing a meal with Nancy and Annie as she spoke warmly about the meaning of home. By far, my favorite part about Tucson is family, Savannah says in a voiceover as it cuts to her dining with her mother and sister at a local Mexican restaurant. Nancy then explains why she chose to move to Tucson in the 1970s, saying the air and the quality of life, it's laid back and gentle. Now, just months later, those words have proven tragically ironic.
Yep.
Police believe Nancy was violently snatched from her bed, which we already know about all that. But it's interesting that she did a whole thing like, this, Tucson is fire. I love this place. It's very relaxing. It's a great place to live. They live in a nice place, blah, 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 right? And Jack, hell yeah, I'm not going to be interrupting that live stream. Are you kidding me? No, it's a press conference. It's a press conference and it's live. I will not be interrupting. It'll be played straight through. Okay, when it happens, and it happens in about 33 minutes. Okay, guys? So again, sorry guys. Okay. So again, guys, I think it's very interesting that she's like, oh, look at this, we live in a really great place, so on and so forth. Hey, mom, this is my mom. Everybody, mom, everybody, mom. And again, you got to remember, Savannah Guthrie is a name. And some people might have some strange vendetta against her for God knows what reason, right? So this is very odd. It's tragic because it could very well be what started this whole thing. It could very well be what started this whole thing, but maybe not. So a neighbor makes a chilling claim. She was exposed as FBI searches woods. Okay, so apparently, let's take a look at this. So they're saying that these are like some live updates. So let's take a look at this. Nancy Guthrie's neighbor made a chilling claim that she was always exposed in her home because of her daughter Savannah's wealth and fame. Like I just said, if it has nothing to do with family, and this is just some massive, messed up, demented, effed up individual, okay? It could very well be because they know Savannah Guthrie is a very wealthy person and they want to get access to that money, right? I always felt like she was exposed, said an anonymous woman to the U.S. Sun, referring to Guthrie. Like, how many people knew she lived here because her daughter's very wealthy? That's the thing. I think a lot of us would like to know that too. But if there is a situation where she did a special with her mom, first off, it's like, hey, here's something that I care for, right? Let me expose my vulnerabilities. Does that make sense? Like, here's my kryptonite, my family, here's my mama, right? I can see somebody seeing that and using that as an opportunity to take advantage of the situation. President Trump announced Wednesday night that he has directed all federal law enforcement to help with the investigation immediately. And a source within the Bureau told Axios that that meant that the director himself is getting involved. So again, Kash Patel is in the building, okay? Allegedly.
Idiot.
Okay?
Kash Idiot Patel.
Let's see. So, again, authorities have said they believe the mother of three is still alive despite not having identified any suspects. We have nothing else to go on but the belief that she is here. This is what, of course, Sheriff Nanos said in an interview. She's present, she's alive, and we want to save her. So again, could it very well be because Savannah Guthrie is Savannah Guthrie, and she has, money, fame. She did a whole special with her mom, hanging out in Tucson. Maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe it's financially motivated, or maybe somebody's just out of their mind obsessed with Savannah Guthrie for some sort of reason. It could also just be somebody who randomly just wanted to find some way to make a quick buck. That could be it too. We got Brian Ensign. He's outside the building of where this press is supposed to be. Let's take a look at this.
Hey guys, so I'm outside the sheriff's office here in Tucson, and this is where the press conference is going to be at 11 a.m. local time in Arizona, so that would be 1 p.m. Eastern time, like East Coast time. I'm not sure. A lot of people have asked me, like, do you expect we're going to get some big update in the press conference? I really don't know. You know, the last press conference was kind of uneventful, but this one is obviously coming after a pretty eventful day yesterday. First of all, of course, Savannah Guthrie's video that she posted with her siblings, and then also the search of the house, which came out of nowhere. At least came out of nowhere for me, just being out there for the last couple of days. They just showed up at 4:30, and you know, the crime scene tape went back up, and they searched the house and did whatever they needed to do for 2 hours, and then poof, they were gone. It was very quick, which makes me think that they knew what they were looking for when they went there, because again, they were in and they were out, and it seemed very, very organized. So I'm at the sheriff's office. So I'm going to go to the press conference and then sort of just see what happens today. Go back to Nancy's house, and then probably go by also Annie Guthrie's house, because it's 10 minutes away from Nancy's house, and just sort of see what unfolds today. So I'll keep you guys posted with any updates.
So yeah, obviously there has been a lot of staging going on. There's something else I didn't get to show you yesterday. Drone footage. I think this is very interesting. This is from Brian Ensign as well. He had a drone hovering over, showing what they were doing in the garage, and they were hovering around. But they were, you know, kind of in the garage quite a bit. Why? Right? Let's take a look at this.
Shout out to Mo here on the drone. Let me see again. So I can't tell, are they getting things in the garage, or are they just using it to go in and out? The door's open. Look at the door. That's open. Is that open? No, it's not open. It's closed. Closed, yeah. What is happening right there? Like, is he photographed this?
What is that?
Let's see if I can.
And play it again.
Shout out to Mo here on the drone. Let me see again. So I can't tell, are they getting things in the garage, or are they just using it to go in and out? The door's open. Look at the door. That's open. Is that open? No, it's not open. It's closed. Closed, yeah. What is happening right there? Like, is he photographed this? Let's see if I can.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's very interesting, whatever they were doing in that garage, right? What they're doing in that garage is interesting. Whoops. It's very interesting. I'm kind of curious about what's going on in there, right? Why is that happening right now? Why are they back? That's the other thing too. Why did they go back? Is it because a new agency is taking over? So they're like, hey, we're gonna go back to the absolute start. We're gonna start from the beginning and go from there. That's something I'm kind of curious about as well. Why did they do that? Why are they going back? You know, is there something, what have they found? What else have they found? They brought in dogs, they brought in all these other elements, and I'm just kind of curious what the F is going on here, right? But let me let us continue. actually, let me show you what I mean. St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, okay? Hopefully the live streams are still up. There's 2 different live streams, okay? There's 2 completely different live streams. There's the traditional worship service that they have, and then they also have a contemporary worship service. So I'm going to show you guys the traditional, because I'm assuming she would be listening to the traditional. We're going to take a look at both, but I want you guys to see something here, okay? Because from my understanding, there are, let me show you what I mean. Take a look at this. This is very interesting. You got the chat on the side. Remember what I was talking to you guys about? You got the chat on the side. You see the chat, right? Now it's them. It's the church, and this is just YouTube, okay? This is just the YouTube live chat. But in the live chat on YouTube, they're basically saying, hey, let's see. Good morning. Welcome to the church. This is Heather on the account, and we'll be your online host today. We are so glad to have you worship with us. Say hello and to let us know you're here. Now, maybe she was supposed to comment in here. Maybe she was supposed to be a host for the live stream, the online host for the live stream. We don't know. But like I said, it seems a little bit weird that, this is the traditional worship service. But if you notice, no more comments are being made, right? 72 views. Now, she could be watching on Facebook. That's still a possibility as well. But I'm just trying to point out this, right? That she was not seen in that one, at least. Let's take a look at the other one. This is the contemporary, all right? This is the contemporary service, all right? You can tell it's the contemporary service because there's an electric guitar. So moving on, okay? Here it is. Good morning. This is from somebody in there. Chat is going on, right? As you continue on, there are people that are commenting on there, right? That's if she watches and attends the contemporary version, right? This one seems to have a little bit more interaction than the traditional, but nonetheless, interesting that unless she always like clockwork says, hey guys, many blessings to you, blah blah blah, good morning, blah blah blah, you know what I mean? Maybe she does, but it is a little bit weird that a churchgoer said, hey, she ain't here. Where could she be, right? This seems a little bit strange, don't you think? Just a little bit weird. But let us continue on. A lot of people are reacting to this, which is, like I said, this is just so crazy. It's just so, all of this is so crazy. And of course, like I said, the press conference is going to be happening in 20 minutes from now, just so you guys know. Let me see if there's any more updates here. Give me a second here, guys. Let's see. So they're saying here, let's just read this really quick. They are saying, investigators returned to the crime scene with canines and latex gloves, which we already pretty much know, but They descended onto the home. They're back in that place. They've
And take TMC with a grain of salt, people.
piecing together leads in the puzzling case. Of course, Monica Garcia, a TV reporter for Tucson's KVOA TV, posted a video showing federal and local police investigators crawling all over the house, noting they were wearing latex gloves and carrying out boxes of items. One of the clips captures Border Patrol agent and a Border Patrol agent outside the home with a specially trained canine dog used by law enforcement to locate boom booms, substances, and missing persons. In the midst of this, today anchor Savannah Guthrie, which we already know, released that video asking for, of course, asking for proof of life. So that's stuff that we already know, right? That is stuff that we already know as we wait for more info and for this press conference, which will be happening in 18 minutes, allegedly. You know how they don't always start on time, so we'll see what happens.
Joining us to talk more about this case is former FBI agent Catherine Schweit. Back in 2003, Catherine worked a similar case where an elderly woman in Wisconsin was kidnapped, held for ransom, and eventually freed after 5 days. Catherine, good morning to you. I was glad to hear of a story like this because right now this is so frightening and so disturbing, and there are so many questions here. But I want to start with this. Based on your experience, when we all looked at this tape, and I can't stop thinking about Savannah and her siblings putting that video message out, based on your experience, why did they put it out at this time, do you think? And is this kind of thing done in cooperation with authorities?
Yeah, good morning, Tough Day. It is important that it's done in coordination with the authorities. It's not an unexpected move at all. The goal is you see it and it's gut-wrenching to watch, but it's important to the conversation because you want to open a conversation with the kidnapper or the kidnappers and make sure that they understand that you are there willing to do whatever you can do to bring back the person that you love so much.
Right. Did anything stand out to you in the language that they used?
I think none of it kind of surprised me. It's very, heart-wrenching, and it's designed in part to make sure that you humanize the person that you have. If somebody took her and is with her now, the family says, look at her, talk to her. She is a wonderful person. They're a human being. The human beings who did it themselves, right? They're somebody's children. So they're pulling on those heartstrings, hoping that they understand that the family doesn't care about the money. The family cares about the person.
Catherine, to the language, Savannah says she is without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer. Is there anything in Savannah's message, in her appeal, that would indicate that she's trying to reach out to someone connected to the family or even someone close to the family?
I wouldn't draw that into it. I think what you're trying to reach is the broadest audience you can. Somebody who had met them before, somebody who'd met someone in the family, somebody in the family. We've all listened to those over the years, and I'm certainly not pointing to anybody in particular, but you do want to reach to the broadest group, including those who may know them or may have interacted with them, whether they're neighbors, friends, family, even church members. You never know.
Catherine, Savannah alluded to the fact we live in a time where images can be manipulated. How does law enforcement authenticate ransom notes like the one that was received?
A lot of frantic work being done in FBI's laboratories and in conjunction with the local police, who, of course, are coordinating this investigation, local sheriff's office, because you do have to make sure. Reality is this is a high-profile kidnapping case and an abduction case, and we want to make sure, because we do get, oftentimes law enforcement does get false threats, and people are charged and convicted for saying, oh, I want to collect this money, and they try to get money out of somebody in their worst time. And people in these situations are desperate, and they will pay out and then find out that they're speaking to no one. They're speaking to somebody spoofing them.
Yeah.
Typically, what happens next after this, Catherine?
I think that the hope of the family, the hope of law enforcement coordinating is to continue a dialogue, and it wouldn't surprise me to see different ways that they reach out. You see law enforcement talks directly to potential kidnappers, abductors. The family will talk to them. There might be another note there. We increase in a ransom, increase in a reward. But then there's still just tremendous amounts of boots on the ground working this case.
We mentioned in the beginning, in the introduction to you, that you had worked on a case where an elderly woman was kidnapped, held for 5 days, and was returned. Who was responsible in that case? How'd that turn out?
It was somebody who lived in the area, somebody that knew the family. The family was a building company, a wealthy building company in this person's mind, and he needed money, or he decided he needed money. So it was somebody who was familiar with patterns and saw the opportunity and took the opportunity to kidnap her.
What is your message to the Guthries right now?
You know, I know every minute seems like a day and a week and a year. But everybody's working as frantically as they can. There are hundreds of people working on this, and we were able, a best day in my FBI career was to listen to people on the radio saying, we found her, she's alive.
Yeah.
So we're gonna hold out hope for that.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that too. You know, I'm really, really hoping for that too. We got about 13 minutes till they're supposed to be doing a press conference. Just so you know, but interesting. TMZ just has an update. Let's take a look at this.
So Savannah Guthrie and her siblings have reached out based on a ransom note. Now, we received an alleged ransom note that we forwarded on to the authorities, to the Sheriff's Department. The FBI called us a few hours later, wanted to had a bunch of questions about that note.
And there were a lot of things that we discussed with them that we made an agreement with them that we would not disclose just for sake of the investigation.
Right. Now this alleged ransom note that we received, there's a lot of detail in it, and we're not going to be specific about that. We will say this, that when you look at the plea that Savannah Guthrie made yesterday, saying we're ready to talk, there are deadlines, I say plural, deadlines in this letter, and one is looming.
Right. If this is indeed a legit letter, and whether it's this letter or one of the other ones that was sent out.
And the other ones may be the same as ours.
It may be the same, we just don't know. But it seems pretty clear that the FBI and the authorities are taking something serious from the abductors.
Now, as far as...
because that's why the family would sit down and make that video yesterday.
And as far as the letter we received, they mention 2 items in this letter, and I think they're trying to show we're for real. Now, again, we are saying this is an alleged ransom note. We don't know. These are actually people who have Savannah's mother. We don't know. But they mention 2 items, and they describe certain characteristics, and those characteristics, and in one case, the item itself, has not been made public.
And our information is that is correct. 2 items that are mentioned are correct.
And so
that part certainly to the authorities would say these people are serious and they actually do have Nancy.
So the final thing about the letter, and again, we're not going to get into all the details, but when the family is reaching out to say we're ready to talk, this letter suggests no talk. That was made clear right at the beginning.
Yeah, and so I think that the family sitting down and speaking that way, that they are trying to change the minds of the abductors, and hoping that they actually will, one, provide that proof of life, but also clearly there was an attempt to humanize not just Nancy, but also themselves, to say, look, we desperately want our mother back. So whether or not that works,
and one of the reasons that this alleged ransom note, it gives me pause, is that we didn't receive it until 3 days after the abduction. That is odd to wait 3 days if indeed they have kidnapped a woman who is
elderly
ill,
woman who needs medications,
has a pacemaker.
and if she doesn't have those medications, why would you wait 3 days? And again, I'm not saying we don't know whether it's legitimate, but that does seem odd that you would. Why wouldn't it have come a couple of days earlier?
Right. And, it's interesting that depending on where, if this were true, that they do have her, and she doesn't have her medication, and they need to show proof of life, it would be interesting to know who has gone to a drugstore to get
Whatever
this medication that she's taking. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the things the authorities are doing right now. So, again, we're not going to get specific. This letter is very detailed, but the way everything aligns and the fact that there is a looming deadline, again, not the only one, but there are two in there, that I think it was just interesting timing what happened yesterday.
Yeah, obviously, I think that is a little bit weird. I think that part is very interesting. The fact that they gave out information of what they knew, like the certain elements of details that were like, okay, we're showing proof positive, like we have her, whether you like it or not, we have her, right? But there's other parts of it that just seem like that. It just seems there's just other parts of it that just seem a little bit odd, like they're making this up, that this is fake, that this is a red herring, that somebody is just saying that to try to scoop a bag real fast. I don't know. Well, what I do know is that they are trying to be as cautious as they can. They're looking at this situation, and they actually, the family,
I gotta drink some hot
at least
corn,
believe it to a certain extent, to at least entertain it. You see what I'm saying? And that, I think, is a massive deal. Hold on, real quick. We got 6 minutes until this press conference is supposed to be hopping off. But again, what say you guys? Do you think that the ransom note is real? Do you think it's fake news? Do you think it's what do you think? The fact that TMZ received it and all these other places received it as well. Why did it take a few days? Why wasn't there a letter dropped off when they took her? I feel like that's something that we all should put in consideration, right? Now, I know that, the likes of Brian Enton, every media outlet is out there. I mean, shoot, we're looking at ABC News here in just a little bit. They are, a lot of people are wanting to know what the F is going on here and why this went down and who this person could be or persons, because I really don't think this person did this alone. I think it took a team, at least one other person. That's what I truly think. I am hoping, I'm really, really hoping that the ransom is real. Now, I know some of y'all will be like, what would you say about that, Pascal? Why are you hoping that's real? Well, if it's real, then maybe she's still alive. That brings hope on. She is still alive and breathing, and of course, if they want that money, she needs to be alive. But it could be a phony. It could be fake. It definitely could. Anything's possible. But let's see, hold on. Just checking the time. We got 4 minutes, about 4 minutes until this press conference is supposed to go on. And of course, we all want to know what the hell is going on, right? Press conference is to start here soon. But in the meantime, let's take a look at this while we wait. This is apparently a neighbor speaking on this. Hold on, right here.
It's different, but is it normally a pretty safe place?
Yeah, in the 50 years I've lived here, I've never heard of any crime like this. It's a friendly neighborhood. It's a very comfortable place to live. That's one of the main reasons I moved here many years ago. And people walk every day in the streets around the neighborhood. And they know one another, greet one another, walk their dogs, and by and large, there's just no crime. Or, you know, the crime that does occur is a petty kind of crime where someone might leave their car unlocked and kids walk by and take something, but nothing like this has occurred since I've been here.
So, Tom, the investigators are telling us, we're learning that there hasn't been a lot of surveillance video. And, you know, most neighborhoods, folks have these Ring doorbells, all these different services that they sign up for these subscriptions. But it seems like a lot of folks in your neighborhood, they don't have that, or the people that do have it weren't able to see that house. Does that shock you?
No, it doesn't shock me. It's not really a high security area. People don't really look at things like that. I mean, one thing is I think there have been some reports that I've heard of where the press has pointed out that there aren't street lights here. Well, there aren't street lights here because the sky is one of the most perfect skies to be seen in a neighborhood in the country. And so people like dark skies and aren't really afraid of the dark. And so that's an indication that that's not an area where people are particularly apprehensive. I would say the reason you couldn't see other houses from the Ring cameras that are on some houses is that there's a lot. You think of this as a desert, but as your picture shows there with a pickup truck, you know, there's a lot of trees, desert trees and shrubs and things like that. So your houses are not that close together. There's a lot of space here between the houses.
Roger that, Tom. I know investigators have flooded the area. They're on the ground, and as you can see by that footage right there, got the helicopters out there, so they're still going door by door. Tom, we're praying for good news. Thank you so much for joining the program.
Yeah, I think we're all praying for good news for sure. The fact that, yeah, like dark areas, it's very easy to just not be able to see anything. I mean, that says a lot too. You know what I mean? Hold on, let me just check something here. We got a minute or so left before this press conference is supposed to be on and popping. So I'm just checking to see. Court TV also has it too. Shout out to Court TV. They got it here too. Shout out to TV.
Sheriff is walking right through here. You can't sit up in this lane here. You can't sit up in this lane right here. I think it's better to come from me than to actually stop. Sorry, Where's the shot? Sheriff is going to walk right through here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, You're on the train now. Trust me. Okay, I don't want to
Absolute pandemonium in that place. Look at all those reporters, scrunched in one area, just trying to get the scoop, trying to get the breaking news. This is absolutely insane, what we're seeing here. But get ready, because okay, all I can say is this better be a very proactive press conference. That's all I'm going to say. This better be a very proactive press conference. They're supposed to be having that press conference now. just so y'all know.
We need to know, without a doubt,
Hold on.
that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us.
Our Melissa Dunn joins me now, along with retired FBI agent Brad Garrett, plus former NYPD Chief of Detectives Robert Boyce. Melissa, let's talk more about what we know at this moment while we wait for this live press conference out of Tucson about the investigation.
Kira, this is just absolutely horrifying and puzzling, right, Kira? At this point, we still have so many questions as we are now in day 5 of this search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. At this point, we have heard that the FBI is working with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, assisting with them, but still reiterating to us that the Pima County Sheriff's Department is the lead on this investigation. Now, the FBI, what they're providing is really critical help, right? Making sure that they have the needs necessary in case there's a hostage negotiation, a conversation, those tactics, and also really important, how they're going to be able to help analyze and see if these ransom letters that several media outlets have said they've received are legitimate. That is incredibly critical in all of this, Kira, and that's what we're waiting to hear from the officials here and from the Sheriff's Department press conference if they have an update on that, because we are just hanging on now to so many developing details. And Kira, really listening to Savannah's plea, it is absolutely heartbreaking.
Yes, it sure is. And Brad, you're an experienced hostage negotiator. What's the thinking with the family releasing a video like that in this particular moment?
So you want to accomplish several things, which I think Savannah did beautifully. One is humanizing the person that was taken. She does a great job. Kalami talks about how loving she is, how important she is, how she's on medication, and they just want to bring her home. And, you know, there's 2 other components that are also important that they want. These are my words, not hers. Proof of life.
Right.
And made a comment that, you know, that can be faked. That they want the real thing, and they want to hear from the kidnappers, because clearly, for whatever reason, assuming that these, for lack of a better term, ransoms are being sent to the media, is what, has anybody really ever talked to the family or law enforcement, the real kidnapper, is what I'm talking about. And the answer appears to be no. So hopefully this will maybe unearth that person to reach out.
Bob, but I guess, yeah, let me take this to you, Bob, and you might want to weigh on this as well, of course, Brad, but how do you know this isn't a hoax?
Good question.
Detailed information within the notes will tell you whether there's validity to it, is credible and genuine note. And so if that was delivered, we don't know everything. When we're hearing certain things about a deadline, cryptocurrency, all kinds of things, that would tell you a level of sophistication if these in fact are genuine. And I think what just to underscore what Brad said, she was poised and pained at the same time, which is not easy to do, but she got her message across in a strategic narrative, which is important to note.
So, Bob, also detectives have turned Nancy Guthrie's home over to her family. Why would they do that if this is still an active investigation?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wouldn't have done that, to be perfectly honest with you, because there's no point to it. She's the only one who lived there, would have kept that, because you were waiting on information coming from those cameras. And Sheriff Nettle said that, Chris said, we're waiting on it once we go back in. They went back in, and they were probably, I'm thinking, pointed to probative areas in the home where they may get some forensics. So I don't think there's a death toll by them letting it go. But going back in now, it shows me that they got some new information. That's what I was looking at.
So you think we should get some new information from this press conference here that they're getting ready for as we follow the live pictures out of Tucson, Bob?
I do. I am hoping for something new from this, especially about the notes and especially about going back into the crime scene. The sheriff has been reluctant to give us so much information. I don't think we'll see the FBI here today. And if we do, I'd be surprised. The FBI doesn't like to talk to the press, and for good reason. We have a comment. We have a term in New York: talk to the press, talk to the firm, and that's the important one.
I'll remember that line. Brad, FBI Director Kash Patel now expected to head there to Arizona and oversee the investigation. President Trump is directing all federal law enforcement to assist. So how could all these additional resources help?
Well, I don't know about the director going there will help. but certainly having tech agents, people that probably from the FBI's evidence response team to sort of tap into what Bob said. I mean, they can take 3D lasers in and create 3D images of the house. That becomes helpful as the case moves on because you literally can move around the house without actually being in it. If there is blood, I realize there's some suggestion there might be blood by the front door. I don't know that that's true. Let's say it is for 1 second. You might be able to, through blood spatter experts, figure out maybe to a certain extent what happened, how extensive were the injuries, maybe the type of weapon they used. And also, the FBI may have different techniques, probably do, in collecting trace DNA. And they would go into various parts of the house and see if they get lucky that the local officials didn't pick up on. Because if there was a tussle inside that house, and it certainly appears that there was, despite the fact that the victim's 84 years old, is the bad guy or guys may have made a mistake and left some trace DNA. You can certainly hope so.
So let me follow up with another question with you, Brad, since you've done so much hostage negotiating over the years with the FBI. I want to take it back to this, really heartfelt and gut-wrenching video that Savannah and her sister and brother put out. And they seem to be addressing possible captors, saying we're ready to listen. They use those specific words. Do you think the fact that they put this video out and used these specific words, used this certain language, even said, we're here, we're ready to listen. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but does that lead you to definitely believe that this is not a hoax, that this is a kidnapping with a ransom, and this is the next move on behalf of law enforcement, was to get the family to put together this type of video?
Well, there is no doubt. I mean, something's got to move the needle here. And it didn't appear to be getting moved, despite the fact that all of the great things law enforcement are doing to get some sort of lead from a cell phone, from a car, from a license plate reader, you name it, our source and informant, to get it pointed toward an individual or individuals, which hopefully that's happened. It doesn't feel like it's happened. And so you're hoping that this type of video will create some sort of movement here. The other thing is separate it from the bad guys in this case and just think about the rest of us out in the world, in particular in Tucson. If in fact somebody knows a piece of maybe what happened, or they've heard a neighbor say something, or something's not strange next door or down the street, it's those kind of tips that you want, because it may lead you right to Nancy and hopefully the bad guys.
Again, we're watching the live pictures out of Tucson, Arizona, waiting for law enforcement to step up to the mic. We are not sure if we are going to get any new information or not. We're hoping to get new details about what could be happening with regard to Nancy Guthrie, her whereabouts, this ransom note that we have heard so much about. Bob Boyce, I want to bring you back in as we wait to hear from authorities from a law enforcement perspective, someone who has spent so many years as a detective in charge of all detectives there at NYPD. What are you hoping is the next move here? There's been, of course, everybody does Monday morning quarterbacking and thinks that things should have moved a lot more swiftly, that the press conferences at times had been a little awkward. Your thoughts of what, I guess, the positives of what you see now and what you are hoping to see more of at this point.
Look, here, when you look at these things, and I've done so many press conferences, but a sheriff like this, Sheriff Niles, is a game changer. He's never done this before, on this level anyway, this international level, which is what it is, an international case. So you understand that you're going to make some trip-ups, and you're going to do well. And he has, to a certain extent. I wouldn't take as many questions as he did the other day, because it became repetitive, and he wasn't being transparent. And sometimes you can't be transparent. It's confidential information that may hurt your case that you want to talk about. But there's other things you can as well. Those cameras in that area if they, we kind of like looked at a 2 a.m. type of thing, and that's what they're going to take a hard look at, that 2 a.m. time frame. Was there any lights going any different direction near a house? That's important to understand.
I'm
Whether
back, y'all.
it's exiting or entering the crime scene. And just so you can tell where the folks went, which way they went, which highway they went. That's painstaking stuff. We can talk about that and develop that a little bit further, the time of occurrence, which is really important. You may not want to get into the note and then the intricacies of it and that investigation as far as cryptocurrency. That's really important as well. But that's better left unspoken until you get there. These cases, they go very slow for a while, and all of a sudden they're expedited and you're going as fast as you can. I've been here through this. This is tough going, tough sledding, let's say, and you have to really understand where you're going with the technology as well as what you do certain things. Was there any cameras or any prior surveillance on the location? Were there any set cameras on the property, which is about an acre big? All those things need really a hard search, and it looks like it's being done and has been done so far.
Brad, as former FBI, another question to you. FBI Director Kash Patel, now headed to Arizona to oversee all of this. As we may remember from the Charlie Kirk assassination, he jumped the gun when he jumped in on that case and was.
And here comes Kash Patel to fuck it all up.
This is what the director of the FBI should be doing right now.
Absolutely not. And not even going to this scene. I mean, I was in the FBI for over 2 decades, and I worked some really high-profile cases, and I never saw the FBI director except in his office. And so I'm not sure, as I mentioned to you earlier, it's not going to help this situation.
It's not.
The agents know what they're doing. Their management knows what they're doing. They know the city. They know Tucson. They know the county. And what's he going to add other than hopefully he won't jump the gun at this one? But we'll see. It's a job that he's redefined into something I don't even want to talk about on camera. And so as a result, he doesn't really have, I don't think, the credibility in going out in the field and sort of holding these press conferences other than self-promotion, it feels like, certainly.
All right. Wow. What we're going to do, we probably have about 4.5 minutes until we're going to hear from law enforcement. So why don't we do this, guys? Let's go back and take a look at Savannah Guthrie, her sister Annie, her brother Cameron, and this gut-wrenching video that they put together, this plea really to captors, that they want to know that their mom is alive and that they are ready to talk, they are ready to listen. Let's take a look at that as we move closer to the live event.
On behalf of our family, we want to thank all of you for the prayers for our beloved mom, Nancy. We feel them, and we continue to believe that she feels them too. Our mom is a kind, faithful, loyal, fiercely loving woman of goodness and light. She is funny and spunky and clever. She has grandchildren that adore her and crowd around her and cover her with kisses. She loves fun and adventure. She is a devoted friend. She is full of kindness and knowledge. Talk to her and you'll see.
The light is missing from our lives. Nancy is our mother. We are her children. She is our beacon. She holds fast to joy in all of life's circumstances. She chooses joy day after day. Despite having already passed through great trials of pain and grief, we are always going to be merely human, just normal human people who need our mom. Mama, if you're listening, we need you to come home. We miss you.
Our mom is our heart and our home. She's 84 years old. Her health, her heart is fragile. She lives in constant pain. She's without any medicine. She needs it to survive. She needs it not to suffer.
Strong partnerships create exceptional experiences. Shore's flexible solutions provide extraordinary audio for
what happened?
Breaking right now.
Okay. Come on.
We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We want to hear from you, and we are ready to listen. Please reach out to us. Mommy, if you are hearing this, you are a strong woman. You are God's precious daughter. We believe and know that even in this valley, He's with you. Everyone is looking for you, Mommy, everywhere. We will not rest. Your children will not rest until we are together again. We speak to you every moment, and we pray without ceasing, and we rejoice in advance for the day that we hold you in our arms again. We love you, Mom.
We love you, Mom. Stay strong.
Savannah Guthrie, her sister Annie, and her brother Cameron there, making that plea to whomever may have their mother, asking them to please reach out and talk to them, that they are ready to listen. We now pause for the ABC network to join our breaking news coverage.
Okay, here we go. Okay, here's the press conference, y'all.
Yuma County, Arizona, is holding a briefing on the urgent search for the mother of Today's Show host, Savannah Guthrie. Let's take you straight to authorities now.
It was just kind of chaotic, people yelling. So I'd ask that you just kind of be patient with me, pay attention to the questions asked, because sometimes you guys want to ask the same question twice, and then you get search result. Help yourself get what you can out of this. I'm going to give you one question. But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all, I want to begin by offering our condolences to our partners at the state public safeties.
It has begun.
Tragically lost 2 members last night in a helicopter crash up in northern Arizona. So if you could keep them in your prayers, Colonel Glover and his team, I'm sure, would have greatly appreciated. Along the same lines, I think you all saw last night, I'm trying to speak up, not yell, because apparently I talk soft. We saw last night the family, they just hurt, understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you. We really just want Mom back. Okay. Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the Sheriff's Department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do. But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you probably noticed them in the last few days, not the last few hours. You're going to see more of that. I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley. Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department, Oro Valley Police Department, Pima College Police Department, Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department, so many of them. And they are going to help us tremendously. And that's really done because we have so much in front of us still, and we're hoping that, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men and women to partner with us, work side by side with us. We go do an interview, they're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence, they're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all the data we can to get this thing solved. And it's important that my partners in law enforcement know and understand because it is a very large, complex investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting, right? We're waiting for analysis, we're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. Blood on the porch, that was one we did. It came back to Nancy. That's what we know. But there's still more items that have been submitted. We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, the PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as they come in as quickly and as expeditiously as we can. And every single lead is looked at, every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is about getting our partners out there. To be fair, when we went to that scene the first night, Saturday night, it was just us. Since then, the FBI and others have asked, can we go and see it as well? And that's what you've been seeing. But it is a very important case to not just me and my team, but this entire community, all of our law enforcement partners. Suspects. I know there's been a lot out there about suspects, and I want to be very clear. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. But to be clear, we have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there. We're not there yet. The timeline, I think we've got it on the board, do we not? This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed. Various pieces of electronics that we've gathered. And you look at some of this, and I know you're going to say, well, why did it take you so long to get this to us, Sheriff? Well, because one thing, it's got to go out and be processed at different lab sites. And sometimes that stuff comes back to us, and like you, we have questions. Okay. And we say, wait a minute, what is this about? What about this? Could it be that? And so it's sent back, or it's sent somewhere else. So, and that's happening with all of the things we see, that process, that review, and that questioning of, all right, what is it we're looking at? So I'll go over it with you. You can see it on the board there, but at about 5:32 p.m., these are approximate times. 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her local family's home for dinner and playing games with the family. Okay? Just visiting. At 9:48 p.m., which is very consistent to what we were told by the family, that Nancy was dropped off at home And we know that because we have the garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes. Because that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself, it just kind of loops, right, covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. Something that detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video. But we're not giving up on that. 2:28. Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone. And at 11:56 a.m., the family checks on Nancy, discovers her missing, and at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to Pitt County Sheriff's Department.
That makes more sense.
It's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, our patrol teams arrive. They see the scene, and we start our response with our search and rescue teams and our detectives from homicide and various units. In fact, every unit here, I think somebody questioned, how come there's an ICAC member out here, or this member? Everybody in our criminal investigations team is a part of this team and part of this investigative effort. I think with that, I need to make sure.
Yeah, got a little bit of
I
something.
want to clarify some things that I may have already done, but yeah, I've gone over with the blood at the front door, the doorbell camera. It was removed, we know that, but we're not confirming that any cameras were smashed or destroyed around the house. I don't know where that came from, but that's something we're not confirming. The car, the car that was at the home, it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene, court orders. We pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle. Uber, we did speak to a driver because Nancy, we learned, had been taken the Uber to the family residence, the daughter, for dinner. And we located that driver and spoke with them and got that information. The house, you guys got this, I think, conducting follow-up. I think you said somebody had mentioned that they saw a team out there again last night or yesterday, and that's just, again, what I was talking about before. Our partners wanted a chance to see it and examine things themselves, and more importantly, it's just we're constantly following up on things and go, hey, what about this? So we want to go back and check on some things. Here's the other thing. Someone had mentioned there was forced entry. I have no clue where that comes from. We have been very consistent. We are not discussing that at all. Whether it's forced entry or not forced entry, that's something we're just not discussing. So I don't know where.
Why would you? What?
I think I am about done with my piece of this. I'm going to bring up here Heath Yankee, and I think you know, if you haven't been here, John Edwards is the assistant agent in charge with the FBI here at the Tucson office. Heath Yankee is the special agent in charge for the state of Arizona out of Phoenix, and he will come up and speak.
So Ashley Banfield tipped him off. That's what it sounds like.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hello, I'm Heath Yankee, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Phoenix division.
What?
First, I want to let the Guthrie family know that our hearts are heavy for them. After seeing your message last night, it is clear that you and your family are in pain. Please know that we are doing everything to bring your mother home. The FBI is now working this case jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And we're going to start today by announcing a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. And this will be the missing persons with the reward that will be going out. The FBI has agents, analysts, and professional staff employees working day and night with our partners at the Sheriff's Department. This is insane. We have deployed additional intelligence and agents from our Phoenix office. We have brought in our critical incident response group from Quantico, Virginia. Members from our cellular analysis survey team are here, and they continue to collect and process digital information. We are actively reviewing and analyzing information from all digital sources, which includes banks, social media companies, phone companies, and any other organizations where a digital footprint could have been captured. All this information provides data points and helps put the picture together. And we will be in the community continuing to conduct a thorough investigation with our partners. You heard about us out there last night. We will be back out there today. I would ask the media, give our investigators the space to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family, and while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. My next message is to those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation. We will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions. We have made one arrest related to an imposter ransom demand, and a complaint will be presented to a magistrate judge later today. You will get more on that from the FBI and our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Arizona when it becomes available.
What? Really?
To anyone that may be involved.
Whoa!
Right. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a much worse scenario for you. Please return Nancy home. Thank you.
Wow. So the ransom note. Get the ransom
So
note.
the first person we're going to start with the list is going to be NBC National, Liz Prince.
Wow.
Right here. Can you walk us through that timeline from when you believe, if you look at this here, from 147 to 228, what you think happened there, and what particular software would have detected somebody on camera?
I don't. I know we know the software that was there. But I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm just not in the weeds. I know that. Think of your doorbell cameras. If somebody walks up, my wife's. If I walk up, she gets an alert, and it's usually something like that. A person's detected.
So to understand then, one, does that mean that it was about a 45-minute span that this suspect or suspects would have been on the property? And then also, does this essentially mean that you cooperate with the tech companies and you can officially say that no surveillance video is available from home?
We know that the tech company that we sent that camera off to, yes, they've said they've run out of ways to recover any video.
Next person's going to be ABC News, Aaron Kaczynski.
Yeah, I'm sorry, was what 45 minutes?
Say it's about a 45-minute span that somebody would have been on the property then, from 147 to 228.
Yeah, I think those times speak for themselves, and it is about, like I say, those are approximates, so yes. I'm sorry, who was next?
Aaron Kaczynski, ABC News.
Hi, Sheriff. Thanks very much.
Aaron Kaczynski, ABC News.
Hi, Sheriff. Thanks very much. Is there information that you are purposefully withholding because of the active investigation?
Thank you.
That might be leading you in a particular direction?
Criminal investigation that we conduct here. Law enforcement has conducted investigations since 1865 here in Pima County. We're always mindful of what it is that's in front of us and what we should release and can release. There's legal guidelines that guide us, but there's also strategy too. So, I'll leave that for you to determine.
Wow. Now that you are having such an injection of manpower from the Pima critical incident team and the FBI, we can slow to bring that in at the outset should all of these resources be brought to bear sooner.
I guess that it's Monday morning quarterbacking. I do it all the time, so this is no different than any criminal investigation.
CBS News, Jonathan Vigliani.
Sheriff over here, has there been any proof of life, and has there been any signs of life?
I'm going to anything to deal with the ransom notes and that I would defer to the FBI. But no, to my knowledge, we're still looking for Nancy.
And my follow-up question, if I can speak with the special agent, what was it about this apparent ransom note that now 3 days on you first haven't been able to validate, and second, it warranted informing Guthrie of his existence?
So the ransom note that was sent out there, obviously every lead in this case, serious, given
to the family, why this one?
Because this was the ransom that came in and it had facts associated with a deadline, with a monetary value they were asking for. So at that point,
what were some of those facts, if you have, because there's been a lot of speculation, as you know, if you could set the record straight?
Yeah, the ransom itself, one talked about an Apple Watch and one talked about a floodlight. We're not going to go into specifics. It's very important that we keep this investigation moving forward, and we don't want to put more facts out there that others then can use to try to profit from this.
CNN, next, Ed Lavandera.
Is it real or not?
I want to follow up with you real quick on that.
I don't think it's real.
There have been, as far as we know, I think 3.
Is the ransom note real?
One arrest. Are they all different? Do you think there's different authors behind all of them, or?
So the one that went to the media is the one we're currently investigating and working on. The imposter that I talked about, where an arrest was made early this morning, that there will be more information. We believe there's no evidence to connect this to Nancy's case. It was someone that was trying to profit from it, a total imposter.
Damn it!
And Sheriff, you started off the press conference by saying you believe that
Figure
Nancy
it's a
is still
fake.
out there. Do you have reason to believe that she's still out there alive? Or are you fearful of the worst case scenario here that she won't be found alive?
Well, I'm certainly fearful of that. I think we all are. But it is we operate from a position that until we know she's out there, she's alive, and we're going to continue thinking that way until we find her.
Fox Digital, Mike Reese.
Yeah, sir. Michael Lewis from Fox Digital. Sheriff, you said you've identified no suspects. Have you ruled out anyone she was with on Saturday night?
We've talked to so many. I'm sure that my investigators have feelings about this one's clear or this one isn't. But no, I wouldn't say anybody's ruled out yet, because what if I rule you out and then later I learn something else? No.
So my follow-up, you mentioned that you don't know where the reporting of a forced entry came from. Do we know how that whoever did this got into her house?
That I would not discuss with you anyway.
Fox News, Paul Morrow.
Question for Agent Edwards, if I may. Agent Edwards, will the Bureau be submitting the DNA for an investigative genealogical investigation relative, maybe getting a relative story, if you will?
I would say the DNA aspect of this case is being handled by the Pima County Sheriff's Department right now. However, should we get to that point, yes, that would be an option for the FBI to assist.
A quick follow-up, does the ransom note that you're working establish any communication protocols in it?
No, it does not. And that is what I think is important, that if someone has Nancy and is demanding ransom, that there is communication with the family. We talked about has been no proof of life, and there was no other demands within that letter. So they're still waiting for communication.
ABC affiliate Ashley Holden.
with here, Ashley Hilton. When you say the doorbell camera was disconnected, do you believe that that camera was
We do not have it in our possession. We've not located it.
So in other words, yes.
follow-up? I know that we've been hearing a lot about ransom notes. We were also hearing in that video that was put out by the Guthrie FBI or yourself. But the challenges of seeing an image and knowing that it's real. Could one of you address that? Has the family received correspondence, any images, videos?
So we're not going to go into facts regarding this part of the investigation. I think part of that message was with AI these days, you can make videos that appear to be very real. So we can't just take a video and trust that that is a proof of life these days because of the advancements in AI and trying to actually get a proof of life that we can verify. So we're not going to go into anything the family may or may not have received.
KOLD, Catherine Patterson.
So, in regards to a timeline on that ransom note, is that being an impact in your investigation? Are we nearing that timeline?
I'm sorry, one more time.
So, in regards to the timeline in the ransom note, are we nearing that timeline? And is that playing a part in the investigation?
We're not going to go again into specifics of that part of the investigation with the ransom note, other than what we put out there. We've been transparent. We're talking about we are working that ransom demand, but we don't want to go anything further than that could impact any opportunities. So thank you.
Is there any additional physical evidence at the crime scene other than the technology that you guys are using for this timeline? Is there anything else that's helping you guys other than really the technology?
Well, I think I said on day one is that it's technology that's going to really help us solve this case. But no, I mean, you know, we did do a process of that scene for biological evidence, so we're still hopeful that maybe something will show up there as well.
Arizona Republic, Richard Relas.
Ranger Yangi, yes. We saw on the scene, I believe it was you, taking a tripod into the home of the sister. How involved was the FBI, if at all, in creating the video? Any advice?
I would say we use our expertise to provide consultation and advice anytime a family would ask for our advice in a kidnapping. It's ultimately the family's decision of what they put out and any messages they put out. But we were, obviously, you're all documenting every move we make. We were there last night in talking with the family. But every decision is theirs.
That was a tripod. I'm sure about it. You said the blood was found on the porch and on the front stoop. Just wanted to verify that.
I'd say porch, front stoop. It's all in that same general area by the front door. Front door, yes.
What, given her medical condition and the fact that what's her blood, as you say, what would her medical condition do with her recovery if she indeed bled out or was bleeding when she left the house?
Well, again, I've got to be careful for HIPAA, but I would say this. We know she is in need of medication, daily medication. And we also know that this is day 4 or 5 and still we don't know that she's getting her medication. That could in itself prove fatal.
That'll be the question. For KGUN News, we have Craig Smith or Athena.
I'll do that for you. I'll just name.
Craig.
KGUN, Athena.
Okay.
Have you been in communication with anyone who you believe could be the kidnapper?
You know, it goes back to what we talked about. Nobody's eliminated, but we just really don't have enough to say, this is our suspect, this is our guy. We know that.
So in other words, you ain't telling us nothing, Mike.
And it's really kind of reckless to report that someone is a suspect when they could very well be a victim.
If y'all ain't got none, why y'all having questions that y'all ain't got none? If y'all don't have anything, shut the hell up.
What it is we put out there, because we don't have anybody here listed as a suspect, and you could actually be doing some damage to the case, but you can do some damage to that individual too. Social media is kind of an ugly world sometimes.
And how far out have you expanded your search?
You know, I would tell you this. Look, nothing's off the table. if we get a lead that there's somebody, hey, you've got this over here, or we're going, and that will expand and
I feel like
expand
y'all
and expand.
people waste
I
my
think
time.
the FBI, with their billboards, they're now planning to put those up at every state around here, at all of our neighboring states. So, yeah, we use you, the national media, the FBI with their national outreach, to affect that for us. But as far as the actual investigation, naturally the scene is the primary, and we just keep spreading it out as we get more and more leads.
Court TV, Cody Thomas.
Sure. Actually, my question is for Agent Yonke. You know, we saw Savannah Guthrie and her sibling family put out that video last night on Instagram addressing, you know, the tragedy that it is, but also addressing the ransom letter saying they're ready to talk. My question is, did the FBI or any other agency help them craft that message to put out on social media?
Like I said to the previous question, we have an expertise when it comes to kidnappings. And when families want advice, consultation, expertise, we will provide that. But the ultimate decisions on what they say and how they put that out rests with the family itself.
As far as suspects, I know we haven't identified one, but what type of suspect or suspects do we think we're dealing with here?
At this time, like the sheriff has said, there is no primary suspect identified, so it could run the game. So,
KPNX, Troy Hayden.
Are you actively investigating the son-in-law in this case? There were reports earlier this week, and you refuted that. You said you haven't eliminated everybody. Have you eliminated him or come close to it, or are you actively looking at him?
We're actively looking at everyone we come across in this case. Everyone. We would be irresponsible if we didn't talk to everybody, the Uber driver, the gardener, the pool person, whoever, everybody. It's so cliche, but everybody's still a suspect in our eyes. That's just how we look at things and think as cops. Does that mean we have a prime suspect? No, and the family's been very cooperative. They've done everything we've asked of them, and we want that relationship to continue. And sometimes people can be mean out there, and that can really harm us and harm our efforts.
Did you find blood anywhere else in the home besides the porch?
The only DNA evidence we've got back is on the porch. We prioritize things and we rush things, and those items we put out to a lab to rush it. And even then, it's 2, 3, 4 days.
Nice.
The other items could take 10 days, 20 days, but we saw the importance of that blood. It came back to Nancy.
So there wasn't anywhere else in the house?
I don't know that. We processed the house for biological evidence.
What the hell?
I've gotten new feedback.
Newsmax, Sarah Williamson.
What?
Hi there. My question is just piggybacking off our colleagues here about how
What?
search has
You ain't telling
gone.
the truth.
When it comes to doorbell cameras, you say technology plays a critical role in this. Have you been actively door knocking the neighbors, businesses, and collect?
Either this guy's lying or he's a damn idiot.
I can't tell you whether things have come up or not, but we have door-to-door. I think we're still doing door-to-door, not just in that neighborhood, but other neighborhoods. Just as leads come in and take us somewhere, we're going to do those things.
Okay, and just to follow up as well in regards to the video that was released by Nancy Guthrie's children last night, just to clarify, that was not coordinated with any law enforcement beforehand, and that you hadn't seen that video before it was released.
The FBI is handling all things with the ransom.
I think the answer was yes, we were there. The media was there. We can help coordinate, provide that consultation, but that is the family's decision of what they film and what they put out.
Fox 10, Justin Liu.
Agent Yonke, this was for you. Following up on that video that was released yesterday, it said, ultimately any further action is decided on by the family. Since then, have they expressing more interest and more efforts to try and get in contact with who is behind the ransom letter? And do you have a crisis or any sort of hostage negotiator with your team for that type of situation if it moves forward?
So the two parts of that question, I think it's pretty clear. The family wants, they know time is of the essence, and if those that may have are watching this, the family is ready to talk, get proof of life, because there has been no contact after that ransomware note, or ransom note went to the media. For your second question, yes, we have crisis negotiators. That is part of our team here locally, along with the personnel we brought in from Quantico, and they will be part of it, but we're not going to go beyond that of any specifics.
Sure. Now, taking down the primary perimeter after Monday's investigation and really opening access to that property to everyone else, was that something you would do differently looking back, knowing that, you know, federal authorities also conducted a search yesterday? Would you have kept that perimeter up in that?
You know, Monday morning quarterback, I probably would have, but I'll say this. We processed the scene. We got what we thought was complete. My team did that. I have to have all the faith and trust in their abilities and their skills, and I think they went through that pretty well. But because another agency now steps in and wants to assist, we're just like with you, we're an open book. Absolutely. How can we help? One of the things people don't see, I heard your question about, you know, and we left and then others can walk up. You know, when we process a scene and we're done, we return that scene to in this case, the homeowners, the family. And we don't just go march back in there. We call the family again and get permissions to go back to the home. So yeah, there's, again, Monday morning quarterback, absolutely. I probably could have held off on that. We knew that the FBI, we've worked with them before in a lot of cases, and we felt like they could be of help in this with particularly the forensic analysis we use in a number of things. But we, at the start of this thing, we weren't sure what we had, and as the day progressed, we realized that there could be more to this, and we started in that. Remember, it was a search and rescue mission the first few hours, and we transitioned that over to a criminal investigation. With that, brought in our partners from the FBI and others.
Univision, Claudia Ramos. Univision, Claudia
I was actually
Ramos.
going to ask about that. We saw the message yesterday.
Are you next?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Following up on that, we saw the message from the president yesterday. Have you personally received any communication from the court?
No, and I wouldn't expect that. He too is a busy man, right? And I would say this: we thank him for him opening up his entire law enforcement team. Was put out yesterday, and we know, you know, I know my local reporters here know. We've always worked well with all of our partners in law enforcement. Maybe it's something unique to Southern Arizona and the rest of the country doesn't see that, but this isn't new for us. We've done this. Gabby Giffords, I headed up that investigation many years ago, and we worked side by side. Could not have gotten things done if we weren't with the FBI on that.
And just the other question, this being a border state, have you guys had any communication with Mexican authorities?
I have not. I work closely with the Mexican consulate as other consulates, being the sheriff, but no, I've not heard from them.
Arizona, Univision, Madrid.
Hi, Sheriff. My question is, do you know, it's a two-part question, do you know what medication Nancy uses? And have you checked the local pharmacies or pharmacies around the state where they fought her save this medication to keep her alive, to keep her healthy, while it's still good for her?
So we do know what medications, and we have contacted pharmacies. Probably need to go back to just make sure that they didn't, maybe we contacted them early on. I know that night, Saturday night, Sunday morning, I know we were doing all the hospital checks, and that check was continuous every hour, going back out. And physically in person, deputies were going to each local area hospital and asking them to check their logs.
My second question here is, I know you're looking for her in Peanut County. Are you looking for her across the state now? And if so, if there's a particular area that you're focusing on right now?
Well, we're looking for her everywhere, right? But the FBI just made an arrest tip that we thought there could be something here.
Y'all ain't saying a damn thing.
Yeah, it's statewide. The billboards are going to be out there across the country. We take leads from everywhere. Where those leads take us, we'll get there.
MS now.
believe that Nancy Guthrie may be being held outside of the country. Is that something that you ruled out at this point? We don't have any of that information. We haven't ruled anything out. Like the sheriff said, we will follow the facts wherever they take us, whether it is outside of the state of Arizona or over the border. We will follow the facts and go there, but we have no indication of anything over the Mexican border. And you mentioned on the ransom note there were details about the Apple Watch and the floodlight. Yep. The ransom notes that were sent out to TMZ, KGUN, and KOLD, are they all the same ransom note? Do they contain the same details in each of those individual ransom notes? The ones that I am tracking and aware of were the same. That went to TMZ also.
News Nation, Ryan Enton.
Agent Young, sorry.
Yes.
When did the first ransom note arrive? And the reason I ask is because the Apple Watch has been in the news about social media and Steve like floodlights on video. So was it before those things were out in the world?
I don't have the specific time frame as I sit here today of what time it came in, but that you are right. Anyone could see a floodlight hanging down, could have seen some of those things. The watch has been talked about, so that timing is tricky, but that's why we're taking it serious no matter what and following the leads on that. But I don't have the time frame that the first note came in as I sit here today. Thank you.
And my follow-up is for the sheriff. In the house, were there any signs that someone tried to clean up or maybe destroy evidence?
I can't talk about the crime scene. But I'll give you another shot, another question.
My other question is, I heard the agent say that it's a joint investigation now. At the other press conference, the FBI said they were assisting. Is it joint now? Are both agencies in charge now?
Look, there's no ego here. We in this part of the country, we'll take anybody's help. It's not about who's in charge. From day one, when we contacted the FBI, they were that gracious to say, whatever you need. And so that's really it. And they're great partners, just as my other local law enforcement brethren. I didn't even have to ask. That's what's really amazing. I haven't had to call anybody. They've called me. Sheriff, what do you need?
Arizona's family,
We believe she's still out there. The most encouraging piece of information coming from this law enforcement presser in Tucson, Arizona, as the search continues for Nancy Guthrie.
Shut up. The hell's that? The hell was that? Give me a second, guys.
That was a waste of time. That right there was a waste of damn time.
It's not about who's in charge. From day one, when
that was trash.
The FBI, they were that gracious to say, whatever you need. And so that's really it. And they're great partners, just as my other local law enforcement brethren. I didn't even have to ask. That's what's really amazing. I haven't had to call anybody. They've called me. Sheriff, what do you need?
Arizona's family, Brianna Whitney.
Sure. I know you had the crime scene process and you were back out there. Reporters wanted to see it, but you guys were actively taking out evidence yesterday. Was there something you missed the first time, or did you get piece of information that led you to believe you needed to go back out and take more than you had that first day?
I know that we get information that will come, and this is just any crime scene that we look at. We may go out to a crime scene and think we got it all, go analyze the evidence, and something comes back and says, hey, did you check this? We're not going to just say, oops, and not go. Absolutely. Okay. In this instance, it really was the FBI just wanted to go, hey, can we take a look at it?
Are you worried about that? You did it all because there was
I'll let the courts worry about that. We will certainly be open to the courts. Anything that's been removed from that house, and we follow the rules of laws. We get court orders and go back and reapply for another warrant if need be. All of those things we're very careful of.
Arizona Public Media, Lynn Boyd.
Hello, Boyd. Back in the release yesterday, there was a report of trespassers. The Guthrie family dealt with any cases, whether it was trespassing.
I am not aware of any of that. I know that we, as with any case, again, we would look at all of the background of calls to those families or residents and see if there's anything there, or even in that neighborhood. Those things have been looked at. Any anything that was reported in even the last 30 days or 60 days, nobody's come to me and said, hey, next door you had a burglary.
For the neighbor flood, do you have any more details on that process?
I don't have them.
Nada mundo, Jesus Gonzalez.
For the API, I just have a question. Can we program API director coming to
Yes, Director Patel is being briefed several times a day on this investigation back in DC. He does have a trip scheduled to Tucson that was pre-scheduled before this, but he is receiving consistent and constant updates from our team here. He is not coming today.
And before you go to the next one, you may have had a follow-up question, but I think I overstepped you. So if you wanted to ask, I'll give you that opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
At what point do you think not credible if there is no communication that follows up since you received it? Like, what's that timeline where you say, no proof of life, there's no more, this isn't credible?
I think we start to look at what the deadlines were in the note. First, I think was 5 o'clock today, and then it had a second deadline after that. So we are continuing in a normal kidnapping case. There would be contact by now, trying to discuss that. But those are the timeframes we are looking at as we move forward. I don't have that with me right now.
Sorry about that. Entertainment Tonight, Danny Directo.
Yes, my question actually is for Agent Young. There was a report that said the ransom came from the video that the FBI was actually looking at that IP address.
Nothing that I can release. Thank you.
And then also, there's also conflicting reports about who was the last person to actually see Nancy and drive her home. We know when she took an Uber to Annie's house, but can you confirm whether it was Annie or her son-in-law also who took her home?
I think the timeline that the sheriff provided was a family member, but
Just that. We're going to go with that.
Record TV, Nancy Sierra.
Here's what we're not familiar with the area. That whole area. Why, my question is, why is it really hard to drive a car or
Yeah, you're talking about the challenges we face in some of being in a rural area like this. Those are face all the time. We'd love it to have all the cameras in what we would consider a more urban nature type area. But once you get out into the community, that's not the only part of Tucson that is that way. And we just find ways to overcome those challenges. We don't just disregard it. We still look at ways to find for example, ring cameras that might catch just a piece of something. It goes past those kinds of things. We don't give up. We still go out. I can't. We have cameras all over, and those things are being reviewed.
Arizona Republic, Richard Roma. Did he get two?
It's the second one. Was that you?
Sorry.
No.
All right. Thank you guys for keeping us honest. No, you already asked your question, so we're gonna go to the New York Times with Reese. And I apologize for getting your name wrong here, Reese. Debo? Debo.
Hi. We don't know that. We don't know which camera that was. That when we did the software, it just told us that the person was detected. But I'm unaware of which camera that was. There were multiple cameras. Sure. There were multiple cameras in them.
And is there a possibility that this a ransom situation, and if so, what else?
Your guess is as good as mine. I would say absolutely there's a possibility that this is nothing to do with the kidnapping. But we cover all angles. We're not going to dismiss something until we actually know for a fact that it's one way or the other.
People Magazine, we have Danielle Walker.
So I wanted a little more clarity to follow up on his, is there anything more you can say, was this actually targeted or not?
That's, that's why we have the FBI to look at those areas where there may have been a target. Maybe it is another kidnapping. But no, we don't have anything to rule that out or to say it is.
And as far as the ransom goes, there was a part in there about Bitcoin. Are you looking into that now, investigating?
Yes, that's part of the investigation.
Can you go and elaborate any further if you found anything or if there's any ties or any suspects tied to that claim?
There is not at this time.
Associated Press of Joe Bolden. Hi, sir. Just to follow up.
You're Joe?
Sorry.
You're Joe?
We'll be there.
Oh, I thought you said Joe. Okay.
Just to follow up to a prior question, you had said early in the investigation that authorities don't believe the anti-government was targeted. Why don't authorities think that the anti-government was targeted?
You said that
You had said that early in the investigation.
Boy, if I said I absolutely misspoke. I've never thought she was or wasn't targeted. We've always believed that is certainly a possibility. I mean, you'd be silly not to think that. If somebody disappears in the middle of the night out of their home, you can understand where I'm coming from. But no, if I said that, obviously I misspoke or maybe somebody misheard me, but I've never believed that she was or was not.
Is there anything more specific you can say about what you believe?
The motive's always going to be a question, and we'll know more as we go what that motive is. But right now, my guesswork is as good as yours.
And then we also have the final one will be from Amy right here. She's on Monica Garcia.
Okay, so let's look
Crazy.
at that 5
What a
p.m.
cluster F.
5 p.m. deadline today. Is that the deadline that we have for that yet? Can you just give us some sound on that? Because that's a big deal. That's within hours about the 5 p.m. deadline for the
These people didn't give us enough.
We are.
The deadline for 5 p.m.?
And then what's supposed to happen after that?
So the ransom note that was distributed to the media did make a demand for 5 p.m. today. And if
Interesting.
If a transfer wasn't made, then I think a second demand was for next Monday. We're not going to go beyond that.
Wow.
What the media received.
Did it indicate what would happen if they didn't meet that range?
We're not going to go into those specifics. Thank you.
Wow.
I don't.
Then, sorry about that. Inside Edition, Jim Murray.
Special Agent Bill, due to the fact that the FBI participated in the creation of this family video, does that suggest your belief that the authors of that ransom note, in fact, have Nancy Guthrie?
Again, we're taking the ransom note serious, and we are following that part of the investigation.
And the fact that there is a ransom note suggests to you that Nancy Guthrie was taken specifically because she's Savannah's mom.
There's nothing to indicate that.
Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. The sheriff does have just one more note about what happens next year.
Okay.
What doesn't happen.
Well, it's what happens for us is we're going to continue working. For you though, I hope this worked out well for you. But right now, I have no plans to schedule any further press conferences unless we have some real evidence or something to bring up to you. It's pretty pointless to
Translation ain't got
having
shit.
the same things over and over. And as Special Agent in charge, Yankee said, please give us some space, and that's not just physical space. Give us some space, give my team some time, because these things do take time, and they are difficult. And everybody out there is really working hard. And mistakes are going to be made, and if I made them, mea culpa. This won't be the first mistake I've ever made. But more important than me is we want Nancy back. That's the key. Okay? So thank you very much, and thank you for your concern in this.
Thank you, Richard.
Okay.
If you're looking for the other person that was up here, it was John Edwards, Jon
EDWARD.
So that happened. Very, very interesting, to say the least. So very, very interesting to say the least. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to stay very much longer, on this particular live. But I will say, just a few things that we got to recap here, just really, really quick. So they, of course, obviously still. Hold on, guys. I'm fixing something over here. All right. And I've just been updating things. Updating a few things here. So here's the thing. Shout out to Core TV for that last part. I appreciate that. Okay. One thing is for sure, they still believe that Nancy's still alive. But here's the other thing. They've also said that there is an imposter. There was an imposter. There was somebody who wrote a fake ransom note. So now we got something that's been confirmed. There's been multiple ransom notes that have been sent. So when they said ransom notes, it wasn't the same note sent several times to several different people. No, it was individual notes, ransom notes that were sent. Yeah, they were able to zero in on one of them. And that imposter, that piece of trash, has now been detained by the FBI.
Good.
So that person, and then of course they said the FBI is supposed to be giving us more information about that here in a little while. But again, you got somebody who looked at this opportunity to try to scoop a bag, to try to make some mother loving money. So there's that. All right. An imposter has been arrested this morning. They are still looking into the ransom note that Savannah received, or that Savannah saw. Hence the reason why they did that video in the first place, because they believe that ransom note that they saw was authentic and real. So we'll see what's going on, okay, with that. They say that, so they said that there was blood found on the front porch, the one that we saw, okay? They said that the blood there was indeed matching. After doing DNA and all that, they said that DNA is indeed Nancy Guthrie's blood. It is indeed Nancy Guthrie's blood.
This whole damn thing don't make no sense.
That is not they said that there was not blood found inside the house. So that's one part that they're like, we don't know where you got that information. That is not true. Okay? Yeah, maybe the TMZ one that they received is the legitimate one, and there's other ones that are floating around. Because there's buttholes out here, guys. There's real jerks out here in this world that are trying to scoop a bag, which is absolutely insane. Okay? So there's that. All right? The other thing is of course, he did not confirm, which is weird. Like he kind of went after everything. He went on the antithesis to everything that Ashley Banfield has put out. Okay, and this is not a dig at Ashley Banfield. It's not. All I'm saying is I was like, damn, he kind of going after her on some of this stuff, like what she said, right? Because he was like, there's no confirmation. I'm not going to confirm or deny that cameras were smashed in or outside the house. So there's that too. Cameras were, he's like, I can't confirm or. Then also he said this, which also blew my mind. He said, yeah, there was no sign of forced entry. Because I don't know where you guys got that information, but I never said anything about forced entry into the home. So, what? So there's no forced entry into the home. If there's no forced entry into the home, then how did they realize that this was a sign of bad things, that something bad happened to her, except for the blood that was on the ground? You see what I'm saying? Then they showed us a timeline. Let me pull up this timeline really quick, which clarifies a few more things, which I appreciate, okay? Because I know that I've been asking a lot of questions too, so getting a more specific timeline is very helpful. But if you look at it here, it says that one thing is for sure. Apparently, they got a phone call somewhere between sometime in the 11 a.m. hour, right? They go over, Annie and Tommaso go over there to check on Nancy, and then minutes later, they called 911. To see this timeline, because at first I was like, an hour and 5 minutes makes no bloody sense, especially if the place was in disarray. But that's the thing. Now you got the sheriff walking all that information back, saying that I never confirmed the place being in disarray. I didn't say anything about forced entry or anything of that sort. But he did say that she was taken against her will, that she was dragged out of her bed. But remember, he even said that was a turn of phrase. At first, he was like, she was snatched from her own bed. And all of us were like, oh my gosh, clutch my pearls. Oh my gosh, right? And then seconds later, he's like, oh, no, wait a second. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. That's not what I meant. That was a turn of phrase. What? 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 Right? Now it's door. There was no forced entry. So he's like, what are you talking about? There was no forced entry. What the hell are you talking about? The hell? There was no forced entry. So if there's no forced entry, somebody had a key to her crib and walked in. So it's a mother-loving inside job if that's
Either
the case.
somebody had a key or she knew the
At
person.
least that's how I'm seeing. I'm still seeing it as an inside job. It doesn't matter if the door was forced open or if the door was not forced open. Okay? Come on. But he's like, nope, that didn't happen. Huh? Okay. So here's the thing. We now hear that she took an Uber. She took an Uber ride home. Okay? She took an Uber. She gets dropped off. Okay? She takes an Uber to the family house. Then the family drops her off at home. And the garage door opens. 2 minutes later, the garage door closes. All right? That's at around 9:50 p.m. Then the doorbell camera disconnects at 1:47 a.m. So another half hour or so, I'm just rounding up, okay? Software detects a person on camera. No video available, no subscription. So let me explain. The no subscription part means that I guess she's not paying for it. I mean, that's the best way to assume that she's not paying for some sort of feature to record everything. Then maybe she's not paying for that subscription, or somebody hacked into her stuff and removed that subscription.
Maybe.
That's possible. Just turned it off. We don't need that anymore. Right? So, no subscription. Remember, he said that footage would just basically tape over itself over time. It would just instantly tape over itself. So if there was any footage of this assailant or of these assailants going in and smashing cameras and grabbing her and showing the tussle all on camera, all of that would have been recorded over.
I'm just going to go ahead and end this here because I thought they was going to tell us something. Unfortunately, they really didn't tell us nothing much. Let me go ahead and share this before I end it. Here we go. Like, share, subscribe. See y'all later. Peace.